Well, welcome back, everyone, to Career Talk with OG. And listen, we don't disappoint over here, okay? We have two incredible folks that are doing, quite frankly, they're disrupting all las chingaderas that are happening. For those of us that are first gens, low income students, and, the struggles, right, that we have to overcome as it relates to getting a college degree. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Mauricio Gonzalez and Maria Medrano, that are co-founders of Inspirame. And for those of you that don't know what Inspirame means in English, it means inspire me. And so, Mauricio and Maria, muchísimas gracias for being on Career Talk with OG.
Oscar, we've been waiting for this day. Gracias for just being real and authentic. We're looking forward to having today's conversation y soltar la lengua. Let's jump in.
Thank you for having us, dude. As Chicanos, growing up in California, we've overcome a lot of obstacles, right? Not only academically, but professionally, and we're ready to share our stories to really help others kind of understand how to navigate systems around here. So thank you for the invitation.
No, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Mauricio. And by the way, Mauricio, I don't hear the word Chicano as often anymore. And I don't know. I don't remember if I shared this with both of you, but my major at UC Berkeley was Chicano studies. So when you said Chicano, I'm like, yes.
My bachelor's degree is in Chicano studies, man.
There we go.
I'll tell you, that's part of the system, right? Is it takes your identity.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And when you don't know who you are, where you come from, what your value systems are, etc., then you're lost. You're lost many, many years in your life. And me working with students throughout my entire career at the university system, at the community college system, that's what I try to instill in my kids, is that sense of identity, who you are, where you come from. There's a history, right? We all stand on someone else's shoulders, right? I stand on my parents' shoulders, and my grandparents and my bisabuelos, and everyone else. And when we look at life that way, you do start to see your path, right?
Yes.
And that's why, man, I'm proud of that palabra. I'm a down hard Chicano and Mexicano, Americano. When I saw on your website, when you go to Mexico, they think, we're gringos. Yeah, me too. As soon as I open my mouth, they're like, oh, güero. And I'm like, nah, dude.
And I would say, yo tenía la identidad de India María, ni de aquí ni de allá. So I'd be in Mexico and, pues eres de allá. It still frustrates me to today when I'm connecting with my amigas. Es que tú eres muy diferente, nos tratas bien. Hago, ¿cómo que si somos mexicanas? Pues no, tú eres de aquí, eres una chicana. I'm like, what's the matter with being a chicana? We're great people. So
yes. Oh my gosh.
Props to those degrees, right? Props to those degrees, because they give us the sense of identity to then be able to build upon. Because I'm telling you, man, the K-12 system, oftentimes, especially in my generation, it was like, not telling us who we are, not telling us that we even have a history, or that, every page in that history book was somebody else, right? And it wasn't, you never saw yourself in the literature in the classroom. So final studies all the way.
Yes, no, I love it. And we're going to get into some of this. And so I want you to share a little bit about, your personal story, your career story. I mean, I know, Mauricio, you are very accomplished, tenured professor at community college. Maria, in tech, what is it? Visa, Cisco, Google, like, hello, right? Those are some very marquee companies here. So I don't know, either one of you, whoever wants to start off here. Yes. A ver, Maria.
Yeah, mira, okay, gracias, ladies first. So, for those that know me, they know my story, pero, first in my family to have graduated from high school. So I was born and raised in the San Francisco Mission District. In the early 80s. It was the amazing time to be in that city, right? I mean, I saw the cultura, I saw the mural, I saw the lowriders, I knew the value. But what I also knew, and what I thought at the time, was it because era mexicana and chicana that we didn't get to work those nice jobs in those big buildings. So I saw Americanas walking down the street with the briefcases. I wanted to be that woman that wore tennis shoes, but then put the heels on in the office and changed. I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. I saw that all around me that I said, I want to be that. And my teachers would say, you should go to college. And my mom had me when she was 16. So for my mom, her biggest thing for me was always, I want you to graduate high school with no babies. Like that was her, like graduate high school and buy yourself a car and life will be easy, hija. That was it.
Yeah.
Of course, I will do that. And guess what? The teachers say I can go to college. And my mom would say, claro, you can go. I don't know how to get there, but I will scrub toilets to make sure that you go to college. So all you have to do is just work really hard at school. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I was that student. I volunteered for every opportunity. I did every homework assignment. I was after school. I was before school. I helped the teachers because my dad always taught us, you help if you want to be helped. And so I was a kid that was cleaning, the chalkboard, eraser board. My teachers would be happy in the morning to have these clean. And that when I would ask for help, the teacher would be willing to help me. And that was my mentality. And I did that. And it followed me all the way through high school. Yeah. So much so that by the time I got to high school, my dream was to be a teacher. They were the heroes. And so they put me in a teacher cadet program that at the time I didn't know was dually enrolled at Sonoma State University.
Interesting. Okay.
Came over, it was 10 of us in that class, showed us how to complete this college application and submitted it. And because the boxes had an opportunity to put other colleges, I put San Jose State and San Francisco State, and I forget what other school I put on there. But I remember I got accepted to San Jose, San Francisco, and Sonoma. And I was so excited that I show my dad, and I goes, no, si te vas a ir al colegio, te me vas para Sonoma. A San Francisco sola no vas, y a San Jose menos.
Menos.
Hey, what's wrong with San Jose?
So that's at Sonoma State. But I had to tell you, getting to Sonoma State was the first time that I ever realized that I was poor and that I was being discriminated upon. I didn't know that because in San Francisco, it was so diverse. Yeah. And when I turned 15 or so, my family moved to Vallejo, which is even more diverse. Yes. And so it was the first time que me tropeé con unos gringuitos that were so rude that I even said, why are you being mean to me? Like that came out of my mouth to them. Why are you being mean to me? And their response back was, what are you doing in college? You don't belong here.
Wow. Mira qué cabrones.
That was many things. And so, para no hacerte el cuento largo, Sonoma State transferred to San Jose State, and Mauricio will share why I transferred to San Jose State. And because I was at San Jose, el hambre es cabrón. I was starving. So I had to work full time, 8 to 5, and the classes I could take, that was one thing. I was never, ever going to drop out of school. I just knew that if I couldn't take them from 8 to 5, I had to take them from 6 to 10. And the only classes that were being offered from 6 to 10, business classes. So that's how I ended up getting a business degree.
Wow. Oh my gosh. You talk about and so many aspects that I can relate to in your story of, of growing up. You're in an environment that everyone is like you. You don't feel like you're necessarily poor, less than, right? You're just living your life. And then all of a sudden we get out of that environment and we go into mainstream environment. And all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, you're made to feel like there's something wrong with us, right? You're made to feel like you're less than. And
Maria's being really modest here, right? That wasn't just one racist incident. It was thousands of racially discriminating incidences throughout our entire life, right? And if we had hours on this live, we would break down those because people still continue to go through those. And those are spirit crushing experiences that could derail you, right? From accomplishing, say, a college degree or getting a promotion at a job, those kinds of things, because it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yes. I mean, the one thing that I've heard over and over from so many folks is, you're so resilient, Maria. You're so resilient. And it's like,
why do I need to be resilient? What's trying to knock me out?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I said, but that is the reality. I mean, when I look back, my primos, my brothers would say, como chingas. And really, I need a shirt. Como chingas. It was always like, and people would say, what keeps you going? I didn't want to be poor. Like, I knew what it was to be poor. And I'm like, if they can do it, why can't I? And if it's all about hard work and going to school, then andale, hay que hacerlo. Hard work and going to school. And but you have to be super determined and put in a lot of effort because it's not freaking easy. They didn't tell me that
Yes.
part. I just
Right.
luckily have always been in that mindset. And that's where we are today, to have two Chicanos start a C Corp startup and want to revolutionize education to help end generational poverty, because that's what it did for us.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Maria, for sharing this personal part of your story. I love it. And Mauricio, I heard you were also just a good, good boy, like you were an
Was
altar
I on the
boy.
honor roll?
Yeah.
No. Was I being recruited by college? Recruit? No. I had the opposite experience, right? We're both Chicanos and we both grew up poor, but I grew up in the rural agricultural areas in the Salinas Valley. And, I'm not going to BS here is, Chicano males are an endangered species in higher education. Every class I walked into, I was one of maybe two, maybe three at the most, right?
Yeah.
And then a few months later, they'd be gone. And kind of the same thing as Maria. I knew what people 10 years ahead of me, I knew where they would go, right? Soledad Prison, Salinas Valley Prison, Monterey County Jail.
Yes.
And my cousins, my aunts, my uncle, all of us, right, are funneled into a prison system in those types of schools, right? I mean, if you look up King City police scandal, that's where I grew up. Our police force was actively discriminated against the Mexican farm worker community for over 40 years. And those of us who were involved know that you get busted for this much when you actually do this much. And you can look it up. It's all over Google. And that's the kind of environment where I grew up, where we knew you cannot ask the police for any assistance. They will rob you. And they robbed my dad for 2 vehicles. I mean, that's just the brutal, honest truth is when people get into positions of authority, right?
Yes.
Some of them will take advantage of those people who have less of a voice. And in the farm worker community, you have undocumented people, right? You have citizens as well, but because of the low income standards, they don't know how to protect themselves, right? And so, we grew up gang affiliated, my brother's in prison, my nephew's in prison, it's real, right? That school to prison pipeline was admitting more Chicanos from the Salinas Valley than any college or university. Yes. And that is the environment I grew up in. And when I realized that, through some mentors kind of started teaching me to open my eyes to see where my future is going to be. And that was out of my control. That was the environment forcing people into these kinds of things. I decided to say, you know what? I'm going to fight this. And I'm going to fight it until the end. And I don't know where I'm going to end up, but it's not going to be in that prison cell no longer. Right? We're done. And so what I did is I started changing some of my behaviors. And, those behaviors, they take a while to change, right? It's not like, hey, stop fighting tomorrow. No. Assholes for 5 more years, but just scale it down. And I did that, and I realized, through a mentor that took the time, right? And it's about people taking the time and seeing past what they saw. Right? They saw a cholo, they saw someone who will rob you in the middle of the night. They saw someone who just didn't care about himself or others. And they took the time and said, look, you don't qualify for the university. You have to go to high school to qualify for the university. And all this ditching, just you don't qualify for the university. And so they said there's this other thing called community colleges, and they'll take you with anything. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? No one's ever told me that. What do you mean? Yeah. Taxes? What the hell does that mean? They're like, dude, you don't even have to graduate high school and go. So as long as I got that information, I decided, I got to go. And so I decided to go to community college and move away from the Salinas Valley because of the danger, right? I mean, we got to the point where my home was getting shot at, right? It was like, I was a danger to not only self, but I was a danger to the family, and I had to go. And so what I decided to do is leave, and I left, and I moved down to San Luis Obispo, and I south, the trouble won't look for me if I go south, but if I go north, trouble's going to look for me. And so what I decided to do is do the opposite. I went south, was the only Latino in every class. That was a huge culture shock. Oh man, I wanted to drop out every single day. Why? You're not wanted. The way they look at you, the way they speak, no one will talk to you, right? And no one will try to befriend you, you know, none of that. And so I luckily got involved with a couple Chicano student organizations that were starting, Mecha.
Yes, I remember Mecha.
Luckily, right when I got there, someone was starting it. Someone handed me a flyer that looked brown, and I grabbed it. And I'm like, "What is this?" So I got involved, and it put me around other Chicanos and Latinos and Mexicanos and Cubanos. It's open to everybody, but it's focused on Latino success, and that's where I really started to learn that the system was kind of rigged. You know what I mean? And the system's gonna try and eliminate me, right? And it gave me the ganas and the knowledge to then pursue and just keep pursuing, regardless of what my major is. Just keep pursuing. Luckily, I was able to transfer, and through again another mentor that saw past, you know, what you know, the tough guy look, and you know, saw past the 64 Impala that I was driving. You know, I drove a beat up 6.4 SS, and those are what I'm talking about. You know, you're a lowrider, homie. You know, 13-inch wheels. It's the only lowrider in all the college parking lot. So, you know, long story short, I finished community college at Cuesta, transferred to Sonoma State. So I entered Sonoma State University, and right away, when the EOP counselor, his name was Leo, and you know, he retired, but if he's ever listening to this, hey, shout out to Leo, you made an impact in my life. He told me, he goes, "Hey man, your counselor kind of screwed up. You have to take this freshman class." And I go, "Listen, you know, I'm a junior, man. You know, I'm already old. You know, I'm drinking at the bar. You know, why am I going to go up there at 18-year-old class?" I go, "No." And he goes, "Oh, Mauricio, I'm going to make it easy for you. You're going to take Spanish for Spanish speakers."
El más chica, ocho.
I'm like, "Dude, can I get an A in that class?" He goes, "Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's a good professor. You're just gonna have to deal. They're all 18-year-olds." And I'm like, "Oh shit." Okay, so I walk in and I sit down. And, you know, I'm taking in the class, and luckily I see another buddy of mine, and I go, "Oh shit. Okay, get out of those here. Great. At least another, you know, upperclassman.
Yes, upperclassman. Yep."
And I'm like, "Okay, I don't feel like I'm in a room full of babies now, you know." And anyway, long story short, I look over and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" I see a chola. Mind you, there's very few cholas in college, right? And I'm like, "What the hell is this?" Because, you know, I've been in college now 3 years, you know what I mean? 3.5 years. And I get to the university, and, you know, I'm used to there's not that many Latinos in here anymore, but I just need to finish. And so I look over, and guess who's there with the hair pulled super tight, gold rings, every finger, gold necklaces with their name on it. And then I'm looking down, oversized sweater, white sweater. It was too big for her. Dickie pants. And then I get to the shoes, the white Cortezes. Like, what the hell is this? I haven't seen someone like her in years, right? Of going to college. And I'm like, "No, well, who let her in?" I was the only cholo for a long time in college, right? And so, you know, right away I try to, of course, you know, I'm a 22-year-old single guy. I try to hit her up. She disses me.
Focus on school. Like I was there.
You know, it took me a few months, but eventually I got her to go eat nachos with us, you know?
Because he tried to offer me a beer, and I'm not 21. I don't drink. And the rest is history. But
I knew she wasn't 21. I just wanted to make her feel older. Long story short, 25 years later, right? 3 kids later, right? You know, I end up finishing Sonoma State University. I get accepted again through a mentor that just looks past the negativity of my lifestyle and says, "You know, you need to go to grad school." And they opened the doors at San Jose State University for me to go into a master's program of counseling, right? And that's what triggered the move out of Sonoma to Silicon Valley. And so
I got it.
"Hey, babe, I'm graduated. I'm like 2 years ahead of you."
And he went.
And I left.
And so then I stayed back, and I figured out that at the time you could do transfer, like between two universities. So I asked for San Jose State. They said yes. So I was a San Jose State student, but I was actually just registered at Sonoma State. Then I reapplied to go to San Jose State, and like I said, the rest is history.
A semester later, I'm sitting there hanging out with the homies, right? We live downtown, I call up a bunch of homies. We all end up renting a house together. And the next thing I know, Maria walks in and I'm like, hey, aren't you supposed to go to Sonoma? You just accepted me at San Jose. And I'm like, oh. Looks like the party's over, guys. I'm going to have to be out.
So that's the story. That's the story.
That's what triggered Maria's change, right? Because she sees Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley is all business and technology, pretty much. I mean, there's other majors, don't get me wrong, but you see it in the culture. This is, in the mid 2000s, internet's all over the place. People make billions. And, that's what really triggered the change for her to go to business. Right. And so she ends up graduating with her bachelor's in business and administration from San Jose State University. I end up graduating at the same time, pretty much, with my master's in counseling. We then decide to, go into our careers and, move forward. Maria then finishes 2 master's degrees, right? One in organizational development and her master's in business administration, her MBA. Yeah. And so that's how we basically ended up, eventually moving out here to the Sacramento area to raise our family, and we got 3 kids, 3 amazing kids, 19, 17, and 12 years old. And they're all, second generation. And it's so amazing because we were able to stop the poverty, right? Yeah. We were able to stop the violence, right? Yes. We were able to do so much for this next generation because we were able to finish.
And maintain the like my kids are very, very much they're Chicanos, they're Mexicanos,
they're literally
folklorico, musical. Yes. It's just that's what's always been really important to us. When people would ask, what do you want your legacy to be with your kids? Like, to make sure they know que son Mexicanos, Americanos, Chicanos, like that.
Right.
Else, that is what's most important.
Their Spanish is better than mine.
I believe it.
This is amazing. My Spanish is Chicano Spanish, and my kids, they do it even more, and they're very proud of who they are. We kept the identity, right? The identity's there, and the drive is there.
Yeah. Well, and see, this is it. So both of your stories, I mean, right? It's part of the reasons why I was drawn to you. For me, I'm more of a relationship first, business second. In fact, just yesterday, I had someone on LinkedIn send me an invitation to connect on LinkedIn, and like shortly after, sent me a sales pitch. I'm like, pause, time out. Like, let me get to know. Tell me more about you. Why do you do what you do? And like, I'm sure your product is the best because everyone says the product is the best, but it's really about building that relationship, that trust. It's like confianza, as we say, right, in Spanish. And your story here, that's why I always ask my guests to share some of their personal story, because you're connecting with folks, and also opening yourself up to really say, hey, this is why we do what we do, which actually takes me to your company today of Inspirame and its mission. Tell us a little bit about what Inspirame is about, and who, a little more specifically about what it is that you're trying to accomplish through your company.
I'll jump in here and Mauricio can fill in the blanks, but Inspirame is just that, Spanish for Inspire Me. Our mission is to help end generational poverty through educational attainment. So Inspirame is fully focused on higher education. We're fully focused right now in California specifically because we're both born and raised in California. And it's the largest population, the most complex higher education process. And we're so confident that we can help fix the real issues that really plague not just our community, but I would say marginalized communities at large. The community colleges are a jewel. There's 116 of them here in California, in every pocket and every corner of the state, which then means that all of the diversity of the state is what is that opportunity. The reality is, though, that the community colleges have been declining in their enrollment. The pandemic didn't just start this, folks. Since 2009, these colleges have lost 1.1 million students, which then has impacted the college's ability to actually have the revenue, because for those of you that aren't aware, that's how schools keep their doors open. They get funding for every person that's in their college. And so these students not being in the system results to an $11 billion revenue loss. Wow. And when folks are being educated, folks are sitting on the sidelines. And for those that are participating in the economy, they're likely working at places that offer low wages. They then don't realize that there's an opportunity to get skilled or reskilled. And where is that opportunity? At the California Community College for free, in most cases, are much more affordable than any trade school.
Yes.
The complexities of how do I get there? What classes do I take? What does this mean? That whole complexity already rules out probably 60% of the people. It's just like, it's not for me. I can't do it. And then for those that attempt and have the courage to go in and do it, the average graduation rate at the community college, it's 6 years. It's 30%.
The graduation rates, to be honest with you, are terrible. No matter how hard we work at the community college, I've been in the community college system now almost 20 years as a counseling faculty member, tenured.
Yes.
I've been department chair. I've been out in the academic senate trying to work with my colleagues to fix this problem. It cannot be fixed by one single institution from the inside. It cannot. It is too massive. It has too much to do with the complexity of the system itself. And not only that, the complex psychological trauma that low-income people of color have to experience in our own education systems. And that's what Maria was referring to, that in California, we have an average of 500,000 high school graduates every single year. That's a lot. That's 500,000 students every year that graduate high school. 40% of that graduating class has done learning. Their experiences in school have been so bad that they just want to get the high school diploma and stop. The 60% that's left does attempt some form of higher education. The majority of them will not complete. And the community college system has to take a graduation rate of 6 years to achieve a 36% success rate. Because if you have a community college success rate of 2 years, it's under 5%.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see if I understand this correctly. Right. Only 5% of the students complete a 2-year degree in those 2 years?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, you have to take a 6-year graduation rate, because people always ask me, why are they measuring that 6 years? Isn't this a 2-year college? I go, because if you knew what we were doing in 2 years, you wouldn't come here. I go, the reality is that people are taking way too long to finish certifications, associate's degrees, or transfer to the university. It's taking too long.
Because there's a lack of guidance. There's not enough people that are around to provide guidance. It's not scalable.
Lack of exposure. People don't know what's available. I mean, when I graduated high school, I knew like of 4 or 5 careers of the people who were in my family. And that's it.
Yes.
I knew nothing else other than, I didn't know what a professional career was. I literally didn't know what that was.
Yep.
Until I got to college and started hearing and seeing, I'm like, wait, this person's majoring in what? Those kinds of things. So what we did.
And the other piece is, sorry, I'm not interrupting you. The other piece as well that I tell Mauricio all the time is at least being in the corporate world and having these conversations and sitting with executives and whatnot. I reflect back and think of all of the skills that we as first generation Chicanos have just in living and surviving life. We're collaborators, networkers, we're entrepreneurs, we're resourceful, we scale. We think about how we can actually plug into things to amplify, because we know what it is to be hungry.
Yes.
Right.
And we don't complain.
So that's another piece that we're focusing with Inspirame, is being able to teach our youth to say, like, you have skills. Now use those in the classroom to acquire knowledge, to then bring that into the professional world. Yes. And don't forget about showcasing and talking about those skills that are so valuable, because most people don't have it, or they're trying to learn in their 20s, 30s, and 40s.
So over the past 20 years, we'd host families here at our house, right? We'd go to every single event, without compensation, because we saw, oh my God, if we're not there to tell this story, to tell people how to navigate these systems, these people are not going to navigate the systems. The system will eat them.
Or even just be there in community with them. That they would like to be in community. Like, they'll tell us, like, ¿están con nosotros?
So what I'm getting to is, we decided, Maria and I, because we were successful in our careers, right? We knew, I was involved in all the politics of higher education. I was meeting thousands and tens of thousands of students and the same problems, the same issues, and the colleges couldn't respond. So Maria just got literally sick of me complaining. Listen, I'm in high technology. I work for these big companies. We build platforms every single day.
Yes.
Let's fix this for everybody. Let's build a platform where anyone from age 13 and up, so that means a high school freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, a 35-year-old that's sitting at home taking care of their kids, a 40-year-old that's working their butts off but not getting promoted and need to be reskilled. Let's build a platform where anyone can go and get the real information on how to secure any certificate or degree in California the quickest and most affordable way possible. And that's it. We're not going to bullshit you. We're going to tell you how to do it so that you can do it for free if possible, right? If we personalize education, and our website is called techoguide.com. You can download this on the Play Store and the Apple Store. You can use this as every month we're adding more and more colleges and majors from California to this. By early next year, we'll be in Texas doing the same thing because we're getting blown up on TikTok about all the different issues that every state has with really getting truthful information about affordability in higher education. Our student debt in the United States is over $2 trillion. Most of those people are low income and look like us. 40% of them will not graduate from college, which means they will remain in poverty with debt to the federal government that will never forget that you owe them money, which basically keeps you in poverty. So Maria and I said enough is enough. We're Chicanos, and these are what Chicanos are going to do. We're going to build a pipeline for everyone, regardless of who you are, regardless of how much money you have or how much money you don't have. And we're gonna focus it on the public in California first, followed by Texas, Florida, New York, and the rest of the United States as our company scales.
Yeah, this is powerful, and it's so much needed because, again, I mean, I, like you, I'm a first gen student, professional, and so same thing. I mean, just somehow through, mentors or EOP program, MESA, which is the State Mathematics Engineering Science Achievement Program. Those were, I call them my bumper pats in life that kept me from going into the gutter. I just kind of kept moving forward. And, but to have, which, by the way, Angelica, I just dropped in the chat here, the link to Techo Guide, but to have your platform available to students is just, I hate that word, that cliche, because it sounds so cliche, but game changer. But it really is, it's disrupting the status quo.
Not just students, it's anyone. It's your mom.
Yeah,
it's your
it's
dad.
true.
It's your brothers and sisters. It's the kid down the street. You can now tell the kid that you spotted that maybe that got your attention. Say, hey, are you going to college? And when they say no, you say go to techoguide.com.
Just find out what's
They'll take care of you. Just go there. They're gonna find out. They're gonna teach you how much financial aid you'll be eligible for. They're going to teach you which applications you need to fill out so that you can secure that aid. They're going to teach you what majors are out there at those particular schools that are in your barrio, because we know that the most expensive thing about going to college is moving away.
Yes.
Moving away triggers a $10,000 to $15,000 debt that year for you, right? And then college tuition, another $10,000 to $15,000. And so people start to leave college as soon as they see those numbers. We're going to teach you how to do it. If you qualify, we're going to teach you how to do it for free. And those of you who don't qualify, we're still going to try and teach you how to do it for free with the middle class scholarships, with the middle class promise grads, so that you also know that even though you might be high income, you can still secure any certificate, associate, or transfer to a university literally for free. And we're going to do our best to teach you that.
I love it. And by the way, Mauricio and Maria, Lázaro, who's on the chat here, you see, if you haven't connected with him, connect with him. He works in tech down in Southern California, very involved with the San Diego SHIP chapter. So I don't know if there might be some opportunities there.
Exciting, engineers, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We would love to partner.
Yeah. Mauricio or Maria, can you give us just a quick overview, an example of what, as a student, I'm logged into your platform. Can you just give us a quick overview of what are some of the things that I'm going to be able to do, have access to, just so, kind of paint that picture for people.
Absolutely. So I designed a platform just like if you're meeting with a counselor, right? Is we need to know a little bit of information about your goals and major, right? And if you don't have a goal and major, tell us, right? Because we know what to tell you to major in so that you can get out of poverty fairly quickly. Yep. And so what you're going to do is you're going to start your free account. It's free. Go to techguide.com or download the app, TechGuide app, and start your account. You're going to answer just 1 or 2 entry questions to get your application started. That'll allow you to start exploring the app. Our biggest feature that is unheard of is our degree audit and ed planning feature. So you can pick literally almost any college that's already on our platform and navigate every class, every requirement, whether you got to do general ed or whether you got to do major requirements or vice versa, so that you know exactly where your classes are counting. And when you complete a class, if you tell TECO what classes you complete, TECO will then apply that class to whatever major, whatever degree you make change to. So degree audit, education plan features. We also have a major college search feature. What that means is right now, how do you search for a major? People go to Google. Well, guess what? Google works on ad revenue. Guess who's paying for ad revenue? Private, predatory, for-profit colleges. Right? That have a 90% dropout rate. So you want to be real cautious where you're getting your information from, right? On our platform, since we're only telling you the most affordable tracks, you're only going to see the public school systems because we want to make sure that you are taking advantage of the educational opportunities that are local to you, right? So that's major search. You can search for that, any major, any career, any transfer program on our platform already. We have a digital backpack because guess what? Students can upload any information they wish academically because colleges and universities lose stuff all the time.
Yes. Yes.
I've worked at a bunch and literally we're asking for records all the time because we lose them. Now, not only that, in the near future, we're going to be having more and more features, tying it to careers, tying it to different job opportunities. Some of our employer partners are going to be able to market their jobs and the skills necessary for students to be able to then easily apply as a student, apply to become an intern, or apply for a full-blown job if that's what's being offered by our employer partners. We're also teaming up with nonprofits and foundations that want to increase the number of STEM students that enter a certain college or university, that want to increase the number of students that are not going into the prison system and now being found into the college system. We're partnering with any organization that's out there that wants us to be the education component of affordability, right? For whatever community they're supporting, whether it's our Asian Pacific Islander community, whether it's a Latino, Latinx community, whether it's our Black student community, it doesn't matter. We're there. Now, I want to be very clear here. Our app is open to students and non-students.
Got it.
Only one that, even if you're a non-student, say you never thought of going to college because your counselors never told you to go to college. Well, guess what? Go on our app now because we're going to tell you, yes, you can. And we're going to show you how to get in, how to get through, and how to get out.
Yeah.
The last piece I'll add that is really important that Mauricio hasn't mentioned is the motivational content that the students will get. So we are recording motivational content every single day. And as we scale our networks, we have networks of people that want to share their story so we can inspire the next generation or inspire our neighbors or inspire, I mean, you fill in the blank. And so right now we've tested this theory with our social media. So we hope that you'll follow us on TikTok and our Instagram. You'll get a glimpse for what insight Mauricio shares that is creating such fellowship on just the basics of how do you transfer from a community college to a CSU or to a USC. One of the largest views that we had is how do you go after a certificate that pays you lots of money if you don't want to go 4 to 5 years of school? And so because TECO allows for that personalization, the user on the other end, whether it be a student or a prospective student, they're going to be getting those motivational hits.
Yes.
Just to ensure that they're continuing to keep going, and they're going to be able to tell us how they're feeling and what they need, so we can generate all of what's needed to continue to give them the ganas that they need.
That's right.
Yeah. You know what? Because I'm a very visual person, and so and I also come up with these analogies. But as I'm listening to you describe it in Inspirame and Teco, guide, I what comes to my mind is it's like when you turn on Waze and you're driving, that it guides you to the most to take the most efficient route and avoid the accidents or whatever stuff that's on the road.
Avoid the toll.
Avoid the toll. Like all of those, the potholes you're gonna get. Like just go around
That's a great analogy. Yes, for higher ed, right? And not only community colleges, universities, right?
Yes.
And then in the near future, grad school, so that we can keep helping you learn how to add more to whatever you got. You might start off with a certificate or a bachelor's degree, but we will continuously be feeding you information on how to access that next level, so that when you're ready, Teco's always there, right?
Yes.
And it's always tracking you to make sure that you know exactly what to do to get into that next program.
Yeah. So another question for you, Maria and Mauricio, what do you need right now from the community, the tech community, just the network out there, people, anyone that might be watching or listening? What is it that you need to help you continue to fulfill this dream, this vision of you, and really make this more accessible to folks? Share with us. How can we help you?
Any listeners out there that have a story to tell, right? Your experience in college, the good and the bad, right? Your experience as a professional that wants to share and wants to record. We would love to record that content. And the reason is because we inspire by storytelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, we heard stories, around the kitchen table, right? We would hear stories as our tios over there at a party. We'd go hang out as little kids next to the tios because we're catching the stories while they're hanging out, having a beer. And so through storytelling is how we learn, right? That's how I made it through college. It was through the storytelling of my mentors that I remembered. So-and-so told me this, so-and-so told me that. And so those of you that are successful students, those of you that are successful professionals and wish to share and want me to interview you on a platform such as this, so that we can get your story out to inspire our users to do more, because it is doable, right? It's not impossible. It is going to be difficult, but with the right gangsters like us, trust me, the system's gonna say, okay, we're gonna let this one through. So that's one of the dearest things to my heart, is to really get more and more stories out there to help people make
it.
Okay. And from my perspective, it's just partnerships. My calendar is filling up with having organizations. We need to scale. We need to let our community know that this is available for them. The more we create the demand, the more it gives me the alas necessary to be able to connect with investors and what's needed, because all of this, again, we're paying engineers and the whole 9 yards. We're a business. We're a C Corp company. So those connections are super helpful. And Lazaro, your question, yes, open to high school students, 13 and up. So as we're partnering with the colleges, the community colleges, the number one question we ask them is, what are your feeder high schools? Because we're going to those high schools to mend that pipeline. We wanted to mend the first. It's a big pipeline to mend, but we also knew that if we didn't fix the community college piece, we're going to be fixing that to then hit a roadblock at the community college. So by fixing the community college, we're fixing the pathway from high school to community college and community college to university. So high school students, absolutely.
It's strategic to start with the community colleges, right? And high school, right? What are we providing high school students and parents? Not only that, it's just students and parents. Is, first of all, the information on affordability, the pathways that are available, high exposure. The goal is to expose as many high school students to as many possible careers and majors that are out there, so that when they get to that point of going to college, they're not like me with only 4 choices, right? They know the gamut of certifications and degrees and can make a more educated choice on what to do for the next few years.
Yes.
Lázaro, we would love to, sorry, I see the invitation. We'd love
yes.
to connect. So absolutely, we would love to join you cafecito.
Lazarus is a great guy, great connection.
The last thing you mentioned as well, Scott, just before this, because as I was up yesterday until 2 a.m, like sending emails and connecting, I am very interested in connecting with board members of our California community colleges. So if any of you have relationships with trustees and board members or PTAs, any organizations, just as much as we're a C Corp, in our heart and our mind, we are a social movement for our raza. And so as many opportunities to connect us to, I'm happy to have a conversation with anyone, including our donor and including our administration. Like that, there is nothing that holds you back from having that conversation. It's just a matter of warm connections make it so much easier than having to do the cold calling.
Yes. So, okay, folks, so you heard it here. The call to action here, what Maria and Mauricio, the type of help that they need and, connections and outreach. So please, feel free to connect with them on LinkedIn and share your network here. But Maria and Mauricio, as we wrap things up, I want to ask you a question here, and that is, and this is a little different from the what would you tell your younger self, but the question that I like to ask folks is, when you are 20, 30 years down the road into the future and you're looking back at what Inspirame has done, and Mauricio, you and I are having a beer, okay, una chela
on an island.
Yeah, an island, okay, in Panama, Costa Rica, what would you tell your older self today into the future?
I think I would say, thank you for building this, because the need is so high that it's critical for low-income families to come out of poverty. Yes. Right? It's just critical, because if you've never lived in poverty, poverty is 1,000,000 times harder than going through college. Yeah. And so looking back, I would say that we would be able to lift hundreds of thousands of families out of poverty for that next generation, right? Because once you lift one out of poverty, by the time they have children, that next generation is no longer in poverty. Yeah. So if we really want to change the way our economy is going, to change the way our country is going, right, in terms of really taking advantage of the talent that's here. Yes. Right. We need to educate the talent that's here. Yes. Right. And that is why I say I would tell myself, hey, thank you for going through the hell it is to start a company. Yes. The hell it is to build technology, and the hell it is to find investors. Just thank you for dealing with that, because you were able to change the whole system by addressing students at where they're at. Yeah. Yes.
And I would add, I tell my students all the time, like being on a Time magazine in 20 years, we were saying that we were actually able to help eliminate generational poverty. Like, I believe in my heart and in my mind that we can do that. And being able to, like I said, not just change the generational piece, but create so many more new experience and opportunities for the very many that never ever thought they could. Because I can say, not in my wildest dreams could I have ever imagined saying that I am now as a CEO of a startup company that I co-founded to help end generational poverty. And I tell people all the time, like this should be a testament to not let humble beginnings say who you are, but have that be the propeller for what you want to become. Amen. And know one by one step ahead and another, mucho trabajo and hard work, but it's totally possible. And so that's my hope, because I can tell you where I am in my career right now, I look back in the 40 years that I have and those connection people that I met in the last 20 years, and them reaching out to me now as I'm stepped into CEO role, and I'm thinking, Dios mío, like people are excited and they're like, thank God you're doing this. Like there's this energy that's there. So can only imagine how that's going to grow in the next 20, Oscar.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, and I love what you just said. And I will tell you that, you have already eliminated that scarcity mindset, that poverty mindset, because right, it starts with us, right, the way we think, and you have that abundance mindset. And so thank you, both Maria and Mauricio, for being on Career Talk with OG. And by the way, Maria, I can't let this go by without or end our talk here, because eres jerezana, eres de Jerez, Zacatecas. That's another thing that we have in common. My family is also from Jerez. So somehow I'm gonna get this video over to my family in Jerez, okay? So they can be proud of Maria y Mauricio. Mira nomás estos.
Hey, for all you from Chihuahua, that's where my gente is from.
Oh, so there we go.
All the Chihuahuenses out there.
No, but Maria and Mauricio, muchísimas gracias for being on Career Talk with OG. And more importantly, thank you for going through hell to start Inspirame, so that you created heaven for future generations.
Gracias, Oscar. And we look forward to any invitation to come back to share our progress as we go through. So I hope this serves as kind of like an introductory point of who we are, y que siga la plática cuando nos toque.
And start using that Teco app now.
Follow us on
yes.
Facebook,
follow us on
Instagram,
TikTok, tecoguide.com, and start getting a glimpse of some of the advice we give, because it's straight up, no bullshit.
Awesome. I love it. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us again on another episode of Career Talk with OG. Have a kick butt rest of the week. Adios.
Bye-bye.